Okay.
Hey guys, it's me, Warrior Adam here with a little friend on my head if you can't see. And I'm joined today with three special guests. First, we have Militaryman
Militaryman.
Yeah.
207. We have Will.I.Am, say hi.
Hello.
And of course, we have Malice, who,
Hello.
there we are. Now these are all fellow members of the Chaos Warbreys and friends of mine. And today we are continuing to talk about the one thing we talked about last, the paranormal. Now, first off, we're going to have Malice, since he's the true guest of this video, because you've met Will.I.Am before, you've met Military Man, but we have not met him. So we're going to let him go first, and we're starting off with personal ghost stories.
Please continue, Malice.
Alrighty, so this one time, back in 4th grade, taking it back, I was in the upper bedroom of my house and I was just about to go down the stairs when I stopped all of a sudden as if I was paralyzed. And I looked at the wall by the railing and I was thinking religious things because I was very, very religious at the time. And the thought of Satan popped into my head. And just a few mere seconds afterwards, a demonic figure, a shadow, appeared on the wall where I was looking, as if I was expecting it to happen. It looked like it had horns and a tail, and it looked like it was 2 to 3 feet tall, not very tall. And I stood there looking at it for a few seconds, and then I felt just a sudden rush of fear, and I ran down the stairs away from it, and I sat on the couch wondering what it was that I had just saw.
Now, I believe from hearing the story, there are three possible solutions. I heard the story first, we talked about a little pre-episode.
I thought you only said two.
Well, he described it a little better this time, and I've got a third one in my head.
Okay. Good job, Malice. Thank you.
The first one is a classic demon known as an imp. Is a mythology being similar to a fairy or goblin. We know imps quite well in myth lore. The next one, yes, imps are normally magic demons and all. The next one would actually be itself a shadow demon. Now, as you can see here, these are some different forms of it, but shadow demons take the form of a fear, as some say, or just the form they describe. Now, the third and final one, which causes people to paralyze and all from what I've read, is one and only beast that actually has a quite interesting dilemma. It is called a chaos beast, but against true self-chaos, like a personal chaos inside the body, it cannot.
Such as fight or flight.
Yes. Actually, here in the center right here is this one right here in the middle is actually the common denominator. They don't have a solid form at times, but they don't. They are constantly shifting. They feed off of chaos and all. They eat your fear.
Wait, so what's the name?
You have imps, shadow beasts, shadow demons, and then chaos beasts. In my personal opinion,
Shadow demons are clear.
shadow demons are just normally just called shadows because that's the form they take. They're malleable. Chaos beast, in my opinion, would be the most common one for this. It caused him to stop. It caused him to hallucinate, and it stopped when he had a fight or flight effect and caused fear, which itself is a form of chaos if you can think. Because if you're fear, your body's in turmoil. It's scared. You are paralyzed with fear. But when your fear gives you enough energy to move, it can break such a connection. Like when you're I'm not saying if you have this, but the adrenaline from breaking a limb. You don't feel it, or the shock. You don't feel it until afterwards.
Yeah.
Alright, so we have Tobin. Interesting. And you guys yourself and the viewers can comment below what your thoughts are on what that could be. Will.I.Am, you.
Chaos Beast.
Alright, what do you guys vote it would be? Let's do that real fast. Military.
Chaos Beast.
Will.
Yeah, I think so too.
Alright, Tobin, and of those three creatures,
I think so as well.
alright, so all four of us are leaning towards the Chaos Beast, but if those in the views, please let us know yourself on what you believe it could be. Now, Will.I.Am, would you please take us off with the next story?
I would like to. Okay, so 4 years ago, my dad was married to a new woman at the time, and so it was a Saturday night. So we went to bed, and then in the middle of the night, because I made a pallet on the floor at the time because there was only one room, and 5 brothers in one room, so I had to sleep on the floor. Okay, and so I woke up in the middle of the night, about maybe 25 to 30 minutes, because I felt like I needed to see something. Something was there that I needed to see. So I stared at the bathroom door because it was cracked open a little bit. So I stared at it for about 2 minutes, and then this green figure with the black shadow around it just popped up out of the middle of nowhere. And as soon as I stood up and started yelling, it disappeared. As soon as everybody woke up, it disappeared.
Okay. Now, Military Man, do you have any ideas on what that could be? My webcam disappeared.
Could it be another form of a chaos beast or something?
No, because Chaos Beasts aren't up close. They'd have to be physically touching you. What Will is describing here, he's describing it as being placed away from him. So, in my opinion, there is something I believe it could be.
What would that?
What would that be?
Now, these are... Seriously. Google is not very smart.
Nothing new.
It is a specter, a actual ghost.
I figured it would.
Because, one, it was just staring at you. Ghosts themselves, like poltergeists and all, don't always just go physical contact. Sometimes they are actually scared by other people. And seeing a
True.
living creature, as we've all seen from ghost stories and all that, will flee people or not respond. Some will attack them, some will not.
Yeah, that's okay. But then, as you mentioned earlier before we started the video, I also said that I have another one.
Okay, go ahead.
Hang on. I got a question.
Okay.
Before this incident, did like a family member pass away or anything?
That I would know of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not that I recall.
Okay, so maybe it could, like, see, that kind of rules out the possibility it was a family member looking at you guys.
But listen, apparently the house has already had some stuff going on inside of it, and not just me have experienced these things. Even my stepbrother has experienced the same things as me as well.
See, then that could say the house itself has a spirit trapped with it.
Yes, that is common among
I would think so.
poltergeists. Yeah.
So someone in that house could have died a long time ago. Probably it may have been a natural death or a horrid, gruesome one. Not all specters are caused by, according, very painful deaths. Some are just caused by regret and hope to find someone they knew in life.
It could be. Yeah.
Actually, next to my house, there is a house that's up for sale. About 2 years ago, we had a very nice neighbor there. He was about 84, and he passed away in that house. And someone bought it like a month later for somewhat of a low price, or I mean, somewhat of a high price. And not just like 4 months later, they said that they don't feel safe in this house, and they're selling it for a super low price.
See,
So I think that there may be something there as well. Maybe one day we can investigate that as well.
now see, that could be the old man you're talking about, or someone he knew in his life. Because if he was about that old, someone he knew probably died before him, and their spirits were linked.
Yeah.
And maybe the ghost lived there prior, and he was friends with it. maybe it was fine with him there, but once he passed away, the ghost became vicious in a way, lost its friend.
Yeah.
Huh.
Typical among poltergeists.
Yep.
If you read stories
Yes,
about them.
poltergeists can sometimes just be watching over someone they care about, but when they lose that person, they become dark, malevolent spirits.
But from what I hear, once you actually soften up the poltergeist and sort of warm up to it, it'll become less vicious and
More friendly,
start becoming.
it'll become
Yes,
a
yes,
protector again. But
yes.
True.
not all poltergeists will. Some will stay vicious and malice, or some are just malice from the beginning.
Such
Exactly.
as the Amityville Horror. But we'll get that. We'll get to that in a later show.
Exactly like I said. I mean, exactly what I mean, because as soon as you move in, they can either be friendly
Or evil.
or they,
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Militaryman, I believe it's your turn to tell a story.
Yes. I think Will.I.Am had one more.
I thought,
yes.
okay, but for this episode, we'll just be doing personal stories. But another episode will be coming out tomorrow of us talking about a special little horror.
The
Little
Amity.
horror.
We should do a video about the Crescent Hotel
Yes,
too.
actually,
That would be a good one.
I actually have an idea for that. I'll tell you guys after the recording.
All
No
right.
spoilers.
Alright, fine with me.
No.
All right,
Do you want me?
go ahead, Will.
Do you want me
Go ahead and tell us the next one.
Okay. Okay, so like I said before, the recording and stuff like that we were talking about. Well, pretty much ghosts that we've had to deal with previously and stuff. So I got up in the middle of so I got up in the morning getting ready for school. And so after I did all that stuff and then went to the kitchen, got a drink of water. I was standing in the kitchen for a moment and was staring at, and then I decided to look at the door, okay, for about maybe 20 or 30 seconds. And then all of a sudden, because there was a little sign hanging from the doorknob that leads outside into the backyard, and all of a sudden, it just flipped over and it was swinging.
It was the sign.
And
Sounds like the common
Was the sign
poltergeist.
indoors or outdoors?
it was, well, the door led to outside, but it happened inside.
Okay, so yeah, that would kind of tie in with this earlier story and saying it could be the same spirit possibly.
And like I said, this was
I've heard of poltergeist, following people when they move because it's a chance to escape the house that they're in.
And like I said before the recording, I've had also previous things happen, like whispering, talking, whistling, and stuff moving.
Yes, and that would be possibly a poltergeist.
Yes.
Now we are at the halfway point for the recording, guys, just so you know.
Oh,
So
lovely.
I believe, Militaryman, you would like to tell a story?
Yes, I have 4 or 5 stories to tell you.
Let's just do
all right?
2, because I still want to get in on this.
3.
All
So
right.
we got a deal. Okay, so you know what? I'll go way back, like, no.
Beep.
I'll go back like Malice did.
Okay.
All the way back to my younger years,
All right.
as in 2 to 3 year old. And my grandfather, my mother's dad, died when she was 17. Okay, of a heart attack. And they've never shown me a photo of him or anything. All right, but I was at my grandmother's house. All right, and I would sit on the porch and just talk. And somebody would come out and ask, "Who are you talking to?" And I'd be like, "Grandpa." And they're like, "Wait, describe Grandpa." I would get up, run downstairs, and point at a photo of my grandfather and say, "Grandpa." So I'm like, and then later, my mom hired a babysitter. And I would just be sitting there, talking away. And when my mom came back, the babysitter said that she can't do this anymore. There's something in this house She doesn't know what, but it scared the crap out of her. What do you guys think about that?
Obviously, it more than likely was the spirit of your grandfather.
Obviously, it's a
Yes.
nice spirit because if it wasn't, then other crap would be going on.
So probably
Yeah,
she
yeah.
didn't feel safe because, well, one, you're talking to nothing, and it's obviously something.
She had no
Yeah.
idea what it was.
So she probably thought you could have been possessed.
True.
But it's obvious that with how detailed you were, and you didn't know prior to that it was your grandfather, that shows you had a. It was probably because your mother was so close to him, possibly. That someone, if she died about the same age you were at the time, then that means your grandfather felt connected to you.
Well, no. My grandfather died when my mother was 17, and I was 3 years old when
Then
this was happening.
you could have represented her when she was little at the time. Okay.
True.
Would you like another story?
Yes. Okay. This one's much more recent within the past couple years. All right. So I'm asleep one night, just trying to get some good sleep. And all of a sudden, it feels like on my pillow there are fingers scraping back and forth on my pillow. And I, open my eyes slightly and just kind of scan around, and rotate a little. Nothing was there doing the scraping, and I'm right up against the wall. Then around 3-ish, stuff on the wall started, like fingers scraping on the wall. What do you think of that?
Then that could be a poltergeist.
That's what I was going to say.
But I haven't had any recent issues yet, or within the past 5 years. So
Then maybe, how close is a graveyard to your house?
5 to 10 miles.
Okay.
But later, like a couple years ago, I was walking in the woods, and I came upon this white stone sticking out of the ground. And when I looked at it, it looked like a freaking tombstone.
See, white stones are usually the mark of an actual burial spot of a murder and all that. And if parts of the body aren't salvageable, they mark the death spot with a white stone.
Oh, fun.
That could have been a spirit. Someone was murdered there, and every now and then their spirit is wandering the area, and it possibly could have happened to be in your room for a night.
I was always told to mess with those, or else you're going to have to deal with some serious crap.
Well, no, this hasn't happened in 5 years, but when I went back out there, the white stone was gone. And
That's weird.
my woods, it's maybe 50 yards, if that. I mean, it's not even 50, it's about 10. So if there was a murder that happened, people would hear it and people would see the body being,
Yeah, but
buried.
Unless, of course, it was very late at night.
True. Now, for my third story. People say about animals, they'll come back after being dead, and I can concur with this. I woke up at like 5 in the morning, walked into my kitchen, grabbed a glass of water, started drinking. And this was the day after my dog died. Or a dog died. And I'm sitting there, drinking. And out of the corner of my eye, I see a apparition appear of the dog. Same height, same, thickness of the dog. Turn around, I see a tail wag, and he is gone. And I'm just left there blinking.
That could have, if the dog was close to you, then it meant, or the family, it was checking up and make sure everything was okay after it died.
Oh, yeah. It was, he was the dog. He was around ever since I was born.
Meant he was very close and was worried.
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
back to the Shadow Hound or ghosts. Okay. Now, I have a story. And mine is an
Oh.
animal one, yes. I've never owned a cat. My grandmother did take care. My great grandmother took care of wild ones and all that. This actually happened last year. I will admit I have
Really?
insomnia, but it was finally a night I got a good amount of sleep. I finally was getting great sleep and
Huh.
all that. I wake up and look at my clock. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, why am I up so early? And then I hear a rustling. I have a broken window, yeah, so I thought maybe something got in my room. I'm like, what is that? What is that? I stand up, I get off my bed, and there's a pure white cat on my bed.
I've heard of
And
those.
it wasn't just
Just
an
can't
illusion. I
remember
know
the
this
name.
because it left a indention into my blankets and all that, and my hand touched it. Like rested.
That's typical with apparitions, like full body apparitions. They can leave, markings, and
But an
if they
apparition can't breathe and all
uh,
that, correct?
Yeah.
yes, but it can look like
But
they
it
are.
won't feel like it.
Yes.
Except it was
Yes.
breathing heavily. But what's weird is
Well, I've heard stories of that.
I fell back after putting my hand on it. It was breathing all. I fell back. It was pure white. There was nothing on my bed after just a little indention. I turned my light on and all that. It's gone and all that. I looked at my hand. It was covered in red blood.
Yes, yes. Now, what I was saying before is that, from what I've heard or read, animals that have been killed brutally or ran over by vehicles
I, I want to say.
can appear in ghost form in like the nearest house or something. Say, hey, look at me, this happened to me, go out and find my
See,
body.
what's the thing is though,
Well, they can still breathe and leave slight traces of blood, but disappear
but
after
they
a
would
set
look
amount
like
of
they were
time.
hurt. This animal, it was perfectly
Yes.
fine. It stood up and all that. There was no scratch.
Wait, hey,
And the thing was,
AJ.
no animals have
I
been
don't know
hit on
how
any of my
to.
roads that day before or any days after before. Because it's common for
AJ.
that to happen, but they would tell the whole town would know. Yeah,
Yeah.
Will?
AJ. Maybe it was. You said it was probably
Yeah, like
breathing
it
heavily.
was snoring.
I want to say it was probably suffocated to
No,
death.
it was.
To be
You know how
honest.
cats purr and all that? It was
Yeah.
snoring and purring. Like it did. It did the signs.
And
It left
it left
only blood
blood.
on my hand. Not my
That's,
not my bed,
I
not
don't
my
know,
shirt
man.
where it was
I
pressed
don't know.
against. Just my hand that touched it.
I don't know. I'm stumped on this one. If the
I have
viewers
no
have any
idea. I've
idea,
looked up and there's
let us
nothing I
know.
found. My
but
parents thought it was just me being hallucinating because I washed my hand off of the blood because that made me panic. And it was
yeah.
2
Yeah, I
in the
would
morning.
too.
But so I can understand. But my windows got broken and all that. So I had to do a special thing. So I thought something got in my room. The fact that it left no other markings except like an indentation in my bed, but blood on my hand, is what scared me the most.
Yeah.
Malice, any idea? Malice.
I don't know if he's on it.
Alice.
I'm back. I had to go do something real quick, so I did not catch
Ah.
that last story.
Well then,
My
Oh.
apologies.
we'll have you comment
It's
on the
okay.
video and tell us what you think of my story I just told.
Yes.
Because
Alrighty, that's fine.
we're coming up on the end of
Wait, hey, AJ.
the video, Will.
Okay, let me
Okay.
say one more thing real quick. Because back when I lived at the trailer house, you asked the question if I had any related
Yeah.
family members or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, I was actually related to
Alright.
Bat
So
Masterson.
let's remember that for next time. But guys, we have to end this now. I'm sorry. But I hope you all enjoyed. And
Sure.
we hope you have fun. Bye!